So you started playing Star Citizen, you went for the free fly, you liked it, you bought yourself a game package, following my advice. Hopefully I have a dedicated video on that. And then you said, you know what, I want to buy myself a nicer ship. I want to buy a big ship, something that I don't have to grind after a wipe, something that I know I can count on. Well, then in that case, this is the video for you. Folks, as always, welcome to the channel, and if it's your first time here, do consider subscribing if you appreciate the kind of content I'm uploading. This is, yes, as I said before, free fly is still ongoing, so you can play for absolutely free. Even if you do so, do use the referral code that you have there below in the description, because if you decide to later keep playing and buy a game package with a referral code, you will get a free ship, the Dragonfly, and you will get a free suit of armor. Actually, it is, let's see where that one is. It's this one. So you get the suit of armor and shotgun and backpack, which is looking quite nice, I should say. And you also get the Dragonfly. Where is that thing? Dragonfly is a little Drake bike that you have as a ship, and it stays in your permanent hangar with LTI, and you can upgrade to something else. Careful though, because it cannot be melted. So my advice is don't put more than a couple bucks on it, maybe a smaller ship. So there are basically 3 rules that I would go for when buying a ship in game, okay? And again, this is just my advice. You do whatever. But my advice is based on a few years of experience with the project already, what I've seen other people do, some of the regrets that some people have had. So let's get to it. So 3 rules basically in terms of what you spend real money on here or not. First of all, I guess that rule number 0 is don't waste any money you don't actually have. You know, be a responsible adult, and everyone has their own kind of disposable income or not, and that's up to you to decide. But in general, let's assume you're a person that has a few bucks and you're deciding what is it that you want to buy. Well, first of all, I'd look at not buying some of the cheapest ships in games. All of this stuff that you see here, there's really no point in buying any of this. Anything that's under $100 cash, really you can buy it in game just playing a few minutes, maybe an hour or 2. There's really no point in buying a ship with real money that you can buy in game in a couple hours. And yeah, maybe it's not a couple hours, maybe it's one afternoon, right? But you know where I'm going for here. If I can buy a Gladius, then why would I spend $100 on that, right? So rule number 1, don't waste money on the smaller ships, okay? Rule number 2, don't buy anything that is really not in-game right now. And I know this is a little bit controversial. There's guys that buy everything and then wait. But based on what I've seen over the years, based on what has happened to other people, what you see is that, first of all, sometimes the project that they're working on gets completely canceled. Yes, I'm looking at you, Banu Merchantman. And it may be years and years. You have money synced on something that you'll probably never see. There's a good chance of that being the case. Either it gets canceled or you just don't know what's going to be going down with that. So anything that's really not in game, there's really no point. And besides that, once it's in game, there's a good chance that it may end up being nerfed, it may end up changing. Yes, perfect example right here. The Ares Inferno and the Ares Ion. These were 2 sniper ships. And that sniper thing was modified and changed. And they're okay ships. Not really what I would spend $250 on, right? And last little rule to follow is avoid specialty ships. And yes, of course, some people are, oh, but I'm all about mining. I'm all about combat. So if you want to buy yourself your Gladius or your Arrow, and again, the ships you can buy in game playing one afternoon, I don't see much of a point. But if that's really you and you want to have that thing so as to not even waste one afternoon every few months buying it back, okay, that's very specific. But in general, what you want to avoid is spending money, especially spending a lot of money on things that are very limited in terms of the kind of gameplay you have available. So for example, if you have the right, let's go take a look at, let's say you get something like right, the Starfarer, right, heavy refueling. People have bought this, and you see them in chat, and everyone saying, well, hey, anyone needs fuel? No, don't spend $300 on a refueling ship. It is very limited on the kind of thing. And, you know, this would be one of those things where, yeah, it's been in game for a while now, but being so specific, you just don't want to have that on you. Even mining ships. I know that some people like buying the prospector, right? So you have your prospector so as to start making money. Well, look what happens now. Now you have a ship that is specialized for one thing only, mining, and mining is very much nerfed. It's really, you know, unless you enjoy the actual going through the process thing, it's not a really good way of making money. It's actually one of the worst ones. So that's the kind of thing you want to avoid. And yes, I've been using the reclaimer like a lot of people, especially now that it's so profitable. But you can rest assured that this will be nerfed, and you will not be making the kind of money you're making now. Oh, but I still love the ship? Okay, fantastic. But it's very limited. So what is my actual advice? My advice is go for ships that are not super cheap in game. Go for ships that are maybe a few more bucks. Go for ships that are not specialized. Go for ships that have been in the game for a while and you know there's not huge changes coming, right? And go for ships that have, if possible, multiple uses. Ships that you can use for a number of things. So going down the list, a couple ships that I really feel strongly about in terms of, yeah, I see it. If you want to buy that thing with real money, so as to always have it there, and especially when starting after a wipe, well, you know, actual C1, that's going to be super affordable in game. It's a great ship, but again, this is very much in that realm of, yeah, with your starter, making a few missions, you can buy that in game. Now, a little bit more money and a lot more useful would be something along the lines of your Constellation Taurus. This is $200 right now, and it's not terribly expensive. But besides how expensive or not it is, this is a great ship. You have those 2 size 5 hard points, which soon enough will be, yes, 4 size 5 hard points, because right now we have 2 of those limited to gimbal, and when that goes away, you will have 4 size 5 hard points in a ship that has a very decent amount of cargo capacity. A lot better than the Constellation Andromeda, which, yes, has a snuff fighter, but, man, no one really uses a snuff fighter. There's always that guy that says, oh, I use it all the time. No, you don't. No one uses it, and this is a very solid ship so to start playing after a wipe and doing whatever. If you want to do combat, you can do combat. You can do bounties. You can do cargo. It is convenient enough so as to be a decent enough daily driver, so you're not stuck with a slow thing to get in and out. No, you have that elevator, gets you very close there to a bridge. So this is a great way of having a solid ship in your hangar. Yeah, I would get it over the Andromeda all day long. No question there. No doubt. Another great option, the Corsair. The Corsair is one of the newer ships, best pilot DPS in game. It is a beast. And for people asking and wondering, yes, it has been fixed. It's no longer a glass cannon. It's actually quite sturdy. You have only 1 size 3 shield, so it's not a C2, which is definitely not a Carrack. You're not looking at 2 size 3 shields. It's just 1. And the hull HP is not the strongest there is. But if you do your part, man, you can. I've done critical combat beacons with the Corsair, and it manages. It does those. I've grinded millions of high combat beacons with it, ERTs. It just does all of that fantastically well. While at the same time, you have a very nice garage there in the back for cargo, vehicles, anything you want to bring. If you're doing a bit of salvaging, you found some valuable cargo in a bounty that you did, that's a great ship. That's a great ship to go with. Moving on, some of the things that I would probably avoid. Mercury is super cool, but man, how useful is it? Again, if you enjoy something very much and you want to have it, that trumps anything, I can tell. But again, I like the idea of things that are multi-role, that are multi-purpose. If you have a very specific kind of gameplay, like, oh, I always play with my best buddy, my best friend, we both play. Okay, maybe the Redeemer is something that makes sense for you, or the Hurricane, right? Those would be things to keep in mind. Other than that, the Galaxy looks like it's going to be a nice ship, but again, my rule about not buying things that are really not in game. You just never know when they will be. You're stuck with a placeholder ship that you may or may not like all that much, and it may be years. C2, Hercules C2, best ship in the game, bar none. Why? Well, because it's the best ship for cargo. It does bounties very well with those 2 size 3 shields. It has a lot of toughness in that regard. The hull HP is gigantic. You have 2 size 5 hard points that some people go with Gatling ballistics. I would go with laser cannons, and I've grinded a number of combat beacons, high combat beacons with the C2. This is definitely one of those highly recommended ships. And once you start looking at the price tag, remember, my advice is buy ships with a good CCU chain. CCU, that's the chassis upgrade, by which let's say you want to upgrade from this ship to something else, right? And you buy the option that is war bond, meaning you pay cash, so you buy, right, saving a little bit of money. And the closer you get, the more money you save, right? The closer it is from one ship to the next. Let's say that instead of being this one, okay, let's say, and they have a dedicated video, which I'll link to right now on screen. You will have the link to my explanation on what CCUs are and how to do those CCU chains correctly so as to get the best benefit from that. But let's say you want to get something like this, and the closer you get to that, the more money you end up saving. So let's say you want to get the 600i, right? The closest thing to that. Scroll down a little bit. Right. So let's say it's like 400 something, 440 Prowler, right? And here you have $5 and you're saving, instead of these $35, this is a chain. This is a CCU chain. You have $5 going from the Prowler to the 600i, and because you're putting fresh money, you're putting new money into the game, you have the War Bond edition, which saves you from spending $35. So this would be one CCU chain, right? From the Prowler to the 600i. The more of these you have, the more of these links. So something going from something to the Prowler with a similar discount, that would be another link of the chain. So the more of these you build up, the more money you end up saving. And that's how you build a CCU chain. And as always, I suggest starting any CCU chain with an actual LTI token, a lifetime insurance, a cheap ship, that you always have one around just to start with that. And you will keep that insurance from that token ship that you started with. Again, the link will be there, and that's the best advice I have in terms of how to save a lot of money and not spend the tickets, the price tag that you're currently seeing. You're saving a lot on that. It could be like half as much or less. And that's basically it. Go for things that are in game, things that you will have different uses for, that's not limiting you. But the final answer, that's going to be on you. Oh, but I freaking love the Hull C. Perfect example. How long has it been bugged that you cannot even land with this thing? And it's been something that for people that bought it, it's just a giant waste. But if you really like something and that's going to be your thing, again, the Banu Merchantman, there it is. It was just about to be released years ago. Still nothing. Oh, the people that were working on it just quit or were fired or whatnot. Anyway, guys, that's basically the advice I have for you now. If you appreciate the kind of videos that I'm putting out there, the kind of content I'm doing, a subscription is definitely appreciated, as well as share, thumbs up, and leave your comments. See you on the next one. Take care.